Tashdile and welcome to Tibet TV panel discussion. We are hosting researchers from Tibet Policy Institute of Central Tibetan Administration to share and talk about their research work over the years. And as a part of this program, today we have here with us Dr. Tibettv, who is going to talk about his recent research work titled China and the Road, CCP's Recipe for Troubled Relationship. Dr. Tibettv is currently a research fellow at Tibet Policy Institute, and his core research interests are Indo-China relations and developments in Tibet. And some of his articles, research articles are The Global Times, A Window to Beijing's Thinking, The Tibet Card, India's Diplomatic Dilemma or Diplomatic Deliverance, and How Internal Are China's Internal Problems. Welcome to our program, Tibettv. So, Tibettv, first of all, I would like to know why did you choose this topic as your research work, China and the Road and CCP's Recipe for Troubled Relations. Can you explain briefly?
The main reason behind for me to choose this topic was, the construction of road and the China, it's kind of a recipe for troubled relationship. If you see in the past, during the invasion of Tibet by China, the most important instruction given by Mao Zedong was to the PLA was, to build the road while advancing. So, road play a very important role. After that, we know the rest is history, what happened, after that. And even during the India-China war, that in 1962, one of the main factors behind the India-China war, there are many reasons, we all know that, but one of the most important factor was, construction of road in Aksai Chin, which is quite a border area between India and China. So the construction of road in Aksai Chin, it became a precipitating factor for the outbreak of India-China war. And then the Doklam standoff, we all know that, which lasted for more than around 73 days. The main reason for the Doklam standoff was the construction of motorable road. Actually, there was already a road. China started constructing a motorable road, to modernize the road, and which became the factor for the current standoff between India, China, and Bhutan as well. So these are the factors. For this reason, I have chosen this topic.
Okay, and as you mentioned, my second question comes on that. You have mentioned about the 1962 Indo-China war. So I want to know what role did the road play in during the 1962 Indo-China war?
Yes. Many researchers and many analysts have given a different factor for the India-China war of 1962. I think one of the main factors, which also become immediate cause, or I should say a precipitating factor, was as I said before, was the construction of road in Aksai Chin. Even the Bruce Riedel, who has written a book in 2016, CIA, JFK Forgotten Crisis, which means the CIA, India-China war and Tibet. According to him, he worked in CIA for more than 30 years. According to him, the construction of road in Aksai Chin was the precipitating factor for the India-China war in 1962. So this is one factor. The construction of road lead to the outbreak of India-China war, and also, the construction of road also helped the China for the deployment, speedy deployment of soldier, ammunitions, and armament during the China war. So it really helped the China to win a war against India. So these are the important things which involve the road involved in India-China war in 1962.
Okay, and then if we see in recent times, like this year in June, we have seen the standoff between the Chinese army and the Indian army at the Doklam. Where the Chinese army have they attempted to cross or to enter India. Actually Bhutan, right? Doklam is somewhere there. So, can you tell us what is the motive behind the Chinese government in doing that?
Yeah, I think there might be many motives, but I will, as far as I know.
And I would also like to add, why is it like that? Why is it now?
Yeah, I think as far as from my research, what I found, there might be many motives, but there are two reasons which I will tell, which I come across. The first one is the process of entrenchment. This is a kind of process, where a person, a country, in order to claim unclaimed land or area, he will try to build like material links, which is like, which also comes a road, and also symbolic links, which like construction of a temple or church on a particular empty place, where there is no one. So these are the kind of process, So through that, a particular person or a country can claim on that land, because he or she, the particular country, China, can say that the land there is no one there. So China, many researchers have mentioned about the strategic significance of the Chumbi Valley or the Droglam. That might be the one reason. But as far as my, from my finding, I found that China has already started the the process of entrenchment. For example, in 1962, before 1962, there was a kind of construction work going on in Aksai Chin. At that time, India, they ignored those activities. But later they find out, that they can't ignore this. And even, Chinese Premier Zhou Enlai, he said that, Chinese soldiers, they didn't meet any kind of obstruction. So they keep on continuing the construction work. So later we know what happened, they started to construct road, and later this road helped China to win a, war against India. So this is the kind of, they are doing, what happened in Aksai Chin, it might happen in Droglam as well. So this is one of the reasons. Another reason, as far as, we all know about the One Belt, One Road. Yes. Now it is known as a Belt and Road Initiative. China has changed name because of its, in not, I think 2015 they changed. 2015. So the main reason is, the name sounds quite, political, so they have changed. So the second reason, what I want to say is that, in May 2017, there was a meeting, a kind of discussion on the Belt and Road Initiative. And on that meeting, both India and Bhutan refused to attend. So what I found, and even, Wang Yi, who is a Chinese foreign minister, he said in 2014, he said that, Belt and Road Initiative, or One Belt, One Road, is President Xi Jinping, one of the most important foreign policy. So, as I said before, both Bhutan and China refused to, join the discussion. So this might be an answer to them. If you not do what we are saying, then we will take any actions against your wish. I think there might be another reason for the current standoff, and also for its timing. Yeah, because it happened. The meeting was happened in May, and the standoff happened in June. So there's kind of one gap. Yeah, so there might be another reason.
Okay, Sudimla, so my next question is, view of China's economic growth are mixed across Asia-Pacific region. Although China's power and influence is not seen as the top threat globally, many in the Asia-Pacific countries see it as the key concern. Can you explain?
This finding, this data I got from the Pew Research Center is kind of fact tank. They would like to call themselves as a fact tank. They show a lot of figures, so that's why they are non-fact tank. So these all the findings I got from there. So according to them, the Asia-Pacific country, as you mentioned, it encompasses Australia, South Korea, Japan, the Philippines, I think, and then Indonesia, Vietnam, and India as well. So economically, for all these countries, these regions, countries I should say, they are a little bit not worried about the rise of China economy. They are not worried. For them, like growing China economy is good for them. They are not they are not wary about. They are not threatened by China economic growth. But on the other hand, they are very much concerned and wary of China's growing military strength. So which is there is kind of a gap between this. So it shows that the main reason, as I think. All these countries, excluding Australia, I should say, most of the Indonesia, India, and Japan, all these countries had a kind of a territorial or maritime dispute with China. So China's strength growing will, of course, really, make them, worried. Because they already had a territorial dispute between India. China has already all of these countries. China had territorial disputes.
Yeah, so, and I think the Belt and Road Initiative is not just on the road; it extends also to the ports. Yeah. It connects to the railways and the pipelines across those countries.
Yes. Right. Yes. Yeah. And I think the Belt Initiative that is more about the road and railway, and the Road Initiative, that is about the sea routes. So in all these sea routes that which go across the Indian Oceans. So I mean these are kind of sea lanes. So all this sea route has to pass through these countries. I mean few countries. So these are kind of like they have to win their trust, and also all these countries may have to join so that their Belt and Road Initiative can get success.
Okay, and I've gone through your research articles, this particular article, and you have cited that the Belt and Road Initiative is one of the biggest Chinese dream, but at the same time you have quoted it as the worst nightmare for China. So can you explain it further?
I think I have mentioned before that according to Wang He, who might be closest to the Xi Jinping, Wang He is a foreign minister. He said in 2014 that that Belt and Road Initiative is Xi Jinping, most important foreign policy. So, most important, it clearly shows, clearly tells what this initiative is about, how close it is to President Xi Jinping. And regarding the Chinese dream, I think it is China's dream to rule or to, kind of, increase the prestige among the different countries in the world, So, if the Belt and Road Initiative, if it gets successful, I think the Belt and Road Initiative involved around 68 countries, and it also involved around, totally around 4.4 billion people, all those involved countries. So, if it gets successful, then, the image of China will get strengthened. It will show, it will confirm its, what you call, strength, as well as its economic strength, as well as its prestige in the eyes of the world. So this is a kind of Chinese dream. And also, China, they are known for, manufacturing sector, the kind of consumption and production they are, happening in China. And for that, you need energy. And, China, I think they are importing around 64% of crude oil from outside. So they don't have their own natural resources to depend on. So energy security is another dream, In order to have a good economy, in order to keep the economy running, they need energy. In order to keep the industry running, you need energy. Crude oil, natural gas, petroleum, all this energy you need. So in order to have this, Belt and Road Initiative is not only about a road and railway or sea routes, it's also about pipeline of, petrol pipeline, natural gas pipeline. They have very, kind of a good plan. If it gets successful, they can get all the resources, from all these countries without going through the Malacca Strait, because Malacca Strait is kind of a dilemma for them. Because it involves the presence of America and all those countries who have not good relation with China. So in order to find an alternative route for the energy, they are trying to connect through the Belt and Road Initiative, which is another dream which they want to fulfill. So these are the dream. And regarding the what you call Chinese nightmare, I think Belt and Road Initiative is a very huge kind of project. It's also quite clear because it is a Xi Jinping pet project. As far as from my research finding, I found that China is going to spend, or China is planning to spend around 150 billion per year for this initiative. So it's kind of a very, it's kind of a risky thing for them. They are investing a lot of energy, resources, and to get this initiative successful. So if it get, if it doesn't become successful, it will show to the outside world that China is not able to do what they are proposing. They failed to do according to the plan. And also, already China has spent a lot amount of money and energy. So all this, I think, is a kind of whenever a person or man try to invest in particular business, you have to put a lot of investment. If the business is not successful, you will lose all your money. Same thing like it's here, because if it become not successful, China might lose its prestige. Not only prestige, its resources, its huge amount of investment, and I think might be a lot of trust among the among all those partner countries. Yeah.
And I would like to add on one caution in that this Belt and Road Initiative, do you consider it as a pattern of 21st century colonization that is going on?
Yeah, it could be. We can say that it is a kind of a, new. I mean, there's term. I think I'm not sure. It might be this neo-colonialism. In earlier time, but the British Empire, we all know, they have built road and railway, a very good road and railway in India. The main reason was, to take all the resources back to, England, Great Britain. This was the main intention behind the construction of road. And this, regarding in the 21st century, China is trying to, impress the neighboring countries through this heavy investment in infrastructure, and also they are through this, as I said before, they are getting all the resources, energy resources, from the neighboring countries. So it's kind of, they are doing both. It's kind of neo-colonialism, but you are convincing the neighboring countries to have a trade with a particular, country, with China. So it's kind of neo-colonialism where, there is a, we don't know whether it will be successful or not, but it is, I think, kind of a colonialism, part of colonialism.
And coming to Tibet, with this Belt and Road Initiative, what will be the impact or the possible impact of this initiative in Tibet, while China will be busy on empowering themselves and reaching out to the world with connecting roads and ports and the pipelines, so many things which is under the initiative. So how will it impact Tibet?
I think Tibet as a whole, I'm not sure that it has come, but the main intention behind, one of the main, I should say, it was to integrate the Central Asia. Central Asia, because most of Central Asia, their countries, Kazakhstan, Turkestan, Uzbekistan, all these countries are very kind of, I should say, they are not the kind of a failed nation. I mean, there is no stability in that countries. Yes, and also the corruption rate is very high in all these countries. So China, the main plan is, Xinjiang and Tibet, these two countries, come close to these countries. If something happens in those countries, it will impact the, the Xinjiang and Tibet as well. So China, they want to develop the countries, the Central Asian countries I mentioned before. If there is stability in that country, these countries, then there will be a kind of less effect, or on the Xinjiang and Tibet. And regarding Tibet, there is no clear-cut instruction that Tibet comes under Belt and Road. But as far as I find from my reading, I found that the construction of railway, China is constructing railway from direct, I should say, railway from Chengdu to Nyingti. Already there is a railway, but now they are planning to. They have already started in 2014, Chengdu to Nyingti. So from Nyingti, they are trying to connect to Yadong, which is in Tibet, Yadong.
In Tibetan is
yeah,
Tomo.
Yeah, Tomo. Yes, I mean, in Tomo is a county. We call it Zong district. So in Tomo, there is everything like Yadong, Chumbi, Pari, Yansi. All this comes under Tomo. Okay. And so what I mean is that Yadong, as I said, it's a Tibet area.
Part of it.
Yeah, part of Tomo. Tomo is bigger one. So what I think is that if I have read somewhere, that the Chinese foreign minister or Xi Jinping, they want to connect Yadong with the neighboring countries, be it Bhutan, Sikkim. Sikkim is now, it's India. So Bhutan, Sikkim, and Nepal. So in order to promote tourism, also to religious, religion, kind of spiritual tourism, not tourism, I should say, pilgrimage. So I think these are the main factor. From this, it does come under.
These all are one of the earlier days, early 1920s and 30s. Before 1959, these serve as the main trade route.
Yes.
From with India, Tibet, and and Bhutan and all this.
Yes, yeah. What you said is correct. That it was a, it was a trade route. Not only trade route, it was also during Young husband in 1904, Young expedition against Tibet. I think at that time he was a major. I think not a colonel. Major Young husband. He has taken this route, road to reach Tibet. So Chumbi Valley, which comes under Tromo County, is kind of the key to the Tibet. If you want to reach Tibet, you have to go through Chumbi and Chumbi Valley. That's from India. So that's why that place has a strategic significance as well as economic significance as well.
Okay, and Childrimla, do you have any final thoughts that you have been left out that you would like to add?
I have a kind of request. It's not a question. My request is to all the audience, informed audience. If you have any thoughts, if any suggestion or any comments regarding what we had discussed here, I would like to request all the informed audience to give your thoughts and comments so that I can, add on my research. With this, I would like to thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Childrimla. With this, we have come to the end of today's discussion, and throughout this panel, we have discussed about Dorothea Childrimla's recently research work titled China and the Road, CCP's Recipe for Troubled Relations. And thank you so much, Childrimla.